you think our big worry and concern should be that we still do not have enough information on the Omicron variant?
Yes, so the information is sketchy, but it's not zero. For example, we can look at the rate at which Omicron was spreading in South Africa and compare it against the rate at which the Delta was spreading earlier. So we can say reasonably confidently that Omicron was spreading roughly 2 and 2.2 times faster than Delta. So we can assume the same thing about India. Second thing we can say is that the Omicron variant has already peaked in South Africa somewhere between December 14th to 17th, and the cases have come down quite sharply, whereas the number of hospitalizations haven't really gone up very much, and deaths have stayed really flat. Now, of course, both hospitalizations and deaths are lagging indicators, but in spite of that, we haven't seen any rise in deaths at all. So those are some of the indications we can take away. That's on the positive side. On the negative side, what we don't know is to what extent does the Omicron escape vaccination? So in other words, if you are previously vaccinated, how much protection do you have against the Omicron variant? And the other big unknown is if you have natural immunity from a prior exposure to the Delta variant, how much protection do you have against the Omicron? Just about the only conclusive data we have now is that people who have both, that is, who have been previously exposed and have had both doses of the vaccine, seem to be relatively better protected against the Omicron. This is based on some very fast studies done out of populations in Brazil and in Scotland. So if we extrapolate from that in India, what we conclude is that we have already about 70-75% natural immunity, 85% of the people with 1 dose of vaccination, and about 60% with 2 doses. So the imperative would be to make sure that the second dose is administered as quickly as possible to those who have had 1 dose. So I think, as I said, the situation is not as bleak as one might think, but obviously we could have better details than we have now.
Professor Vidyasagar, booster doses, what is the word from you?
Well, I kind of gave the answer in my opening remark, which are that when you get a large number of people with 2 vaccine doses plus prior exposure to the Delta variant, then you have a very well protected society. So we have 85% with 1 dose and 60% approximately with the second dose. So to my mind, the first priority has to be to bring that 60% up to 80-85%. So we should reduce the gap between the first dose and the second dose. That's the reason why this gap exists. So it's not because of vaccine hesitancy. By and large, Indians are not vaccine hesitant. But because the government has mandated 8 to 12 weeks gap between the 2 doses, that's why we see this disparity. I think the boosters do have a role to play. They have a role to play for people who have had their second dose many, many months ago. For example, people in the frontline workers, they finished their second dose already by March. Senior citizens like me, we finished our second dose already by April. So that is many, many months ago. So there could be candidates for a booster dose. But for the general public, I think that the emphasis should be on making the second doses making the first doses into second doses. And then only we should start
booster
worrying
vaccination.
about boosters. The only exception I would make to that statement is if there are people with comorbidities, even amongst the younger population. But a blanket booster, I don't feel it is necessary at this point.
Sure. So you do admit that it should be administered to frontline workers and senior citizens. At least that decision must be taken quickly.
Well, part of the reason why, well, I'm not going to comment on policy because policy is way outside my domain. So let me just speak about the science, okay? So you can say, fine, let's have a booster. So what should be the booster? Should it be more of the same or should we mix and match? In other words, if you have had 2 shots of Covishield, is it better to go with Covaxin or a 3rd dose of Covishield? Similarly, if you have had 2 doses of Covaxin, should you go for Covishield or something else? Now, there's a lot of interesting science there to be done. For example, some people are saying that the DNA-based vaccines, like the Covovax, would make a better booster than either of these two. Now, I'm not competent to comment on that, but those are the kind of studies that some scientists have undertaken, and we should have the results in about a month or so. So once we know which is the best booster strategy, I think that's a good time for the scientific community to start making recommendations. And then, of course, it is up to the government to follow or not as it sees fit. Right now, I would say there isn't that much consensus in the scientific community even as to, yes, we feel there's a booster needed, but which booster, we're still working that out, I would say.
Sure, sure. Now, Professor Vidyasagar, what is your view on the gap between the 2 doses of Covishield being reduced? Do you feel that the time has come that we do that?
Yeah, definitely. Because you see, if you're going to mandate a large gap between the first dose and second dose, it's axiomatic that you're going to have a large number of people with 1 dose who are waiting for the second dose. I mean, there's just no way to get around that situation. So if you want to make sure that the 1 dose people become 2 dose people, and they're all Covishield because Covaxin has only a 4 to 6 weeks gap. So if you want to make sure that the 1 dose people become 2 dose people, the only way is to reduce the gap. And now I think that scientific community has come to the opinion that this is actually a desirable thing.
All right. Professor Vidyasagar, thank you very much for joining us.